All right, everyone. I'm so excited to introduce my next guest. You loved her on Dallas, Days of Our Lives, the Gunsmoke reunion movies, and Missy from all the Bill and Ted movies. Welcome to the show, Dr. Amy Stoch.
Hello, how are you?
What's up, Doc? Amy, how we
Yeah.
came to be. Just I'll say that because I think it's a cute little story. Cam Clark introduced us. Tina introduced me to Cam, his cousin. And so Cam emails me. I said, Cam, we had a great time. Do you have anyone who you think would be fun for the show? And he says, yeah, I have a really good friend. She was Missy on Fast Times at Ridgemont High. And I go, I don't remember Missy in Fast Times at Ridgemont High. But my brain goes, oh, this is disappointing because I love Missy from the Bill and Ted movies, but okay, Fast Times is a cool movie, whatever. So I'm like Googling and I'm like, finally, 5 minutes later, I'm like, Cam, any chance you met Bill and Ted's when you just wrote it? He goes, oh, yeah. I'm so, oh my God. I'm like, oh, yeah.
I love Cam Clark. I absolutely love him, but that's a good description of Cam. I just think it's so sweet that he recommended me. I just love that.
Yeah, he was like, oh yeah, and I was so anyway. But just so you know, it's funny because like there's so few like names that I would remember on full recall. And the second he said Missy, I'm like, oh man, and I'm like,
That's so sweet. Thank you. That's so cute.
the
I love
original
Missy. I love being Missy. So
Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure
uh-huh.
is still to this day one of my favorite movies of all time. I think I quote it all the time. My good friend and I would always, anytime we would see each other, would always go, excellent, like every time, strange things afoot at the Circle K. I think that comes out of my mouth at least once a month for no reason.
Because why not? There's always something strange happening at the Circle K. Yeah. I actually went to as on one of my road trips back from LA to Illinois. I actually stopped at the original Circle K that they shot at in Tempe, Arizona, or around that area. And they were just about getting ready to close it and turn it into something else. So I knew that, and I was like, "No, I gotta go. I've never been. I just have to go." So I stopped there, and I'm just, getting chills because that's what I do. And I walk in, and I see the poster. They have a poster of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure behind the cashier. Maybe I shouldn't tell this story because I looked at the clerk and I went, I was in that film. Cricket, 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 cricket. He had no clue. And of course, I was a lot older, but I went, would you mind taking a picture of me in front of this poster? So I got to stop there before it was closed, which was really fun and cute.
I love that. I love that's a cool story. It's great that you knew where it was. I didn't even
I looked it up. I didn't know exactly where it was, but I looked it up and yeah, it was there was the poster and the whole thing and it was really sweet and yeah, it was kind of fun. So, oh, and also on that same trip I also stopped at the high school where I picked them up from school and I couldn't get to the actual drive where I parked my car to get in there, but I did see the mural. The whole mural is still there and I did a little nostalgia tour, so that was fun.
San Dimas High School football rules.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, you were awesome.
Oh,
I imagine everyone just kind of fell in love with you at that point.
that is so funny that you say that because I didn't know that at the time. I had no clue. I didn't know how popular this character would be. And for a young actor, we were all young. Nobody knew anybody except for, of course, George Carlin and a couple of other people. But the most of us were just starting out. And when you're a young actor, you're concerned with doing such a good job with the part. You don't think where it might lead or what could happen to you. Of course not. You're a working actor and you're trying to just do a good job, right? But the one thing I really wanted to do with Missy was be a good mom. I wanted to be a good mom. Yeah, it was so funny. She's a 19-year-old stepmom and all that. I love that, all of that whole vibe and everything. But I really wanted to play her as a sincere person wanting to do well for her son. And I'm hoping that's what came across. And after years and years of hearing people talk about it and talk about the character and how the character's kind of evolved in everyone's minds just a little bit, it's interesting because now they're saying it. You were such a good mom. And I'm like, oh, thank you. You got it. That's what I wanted. And I think that's also why I got the part. I honestly do. because I was just trying to be fun and funny. I wasn't trying to be a sexy bombshell, which I honestly don't think they wanted. I think they wanted an honest, sincere mom, 19-year-old stepmom. So that's what they got.
I think so many of us that were just nerds ourselves were like the like in high school and all of that, watching the dynamic, it was like, remember when you asked her to prom? But
That's
just
so
like the
funny.
younger person being so enamored with probably, the cheerleader, like the
Mhm.
all that and like that
Yeah, well, fun fact, I personally, Amy was never a cheerleader. I tried out, but I didn't make it back in 7th grade. After that, I went, no, I'm not trying out for cheerleader anymore. So there you go. I got to play one finally.
did you always want to act?
Yes, yes. I mean, there's no other answer to that question, but yes. Now that I'm also teaching it and seeing young actors coming through and young performers who that's all they want to do, and people ask me, "Well, when did you know?" And I went, "I think the day I was born. I think that's when I knew I wanted to be an actor." It's really bizarre because I didn't have to think about it. My famous story of all of this when I finally realized that's what was going to happen. I was in 2nd grade at Wells Elementary High School. And we had a great teacher, and I distinctly remember this. We had career day in 2nd grade, and she put a list of different professions on the board of what we could think about being. And for the girls, we were girls and boys back then. Now, back then the girls had several options of nun, mother, and actress. And I saw that and I went, bing, that's what I wanted to do. So I promptly came home from career day at school and I told my mother, I want to be a movie star in 2nd grade. And that was it. That was truly it. I went, I don't know whether my mom fainted at that point, who knows? But ever since then, I did plays in school. I wrote plays. I was in choir. I just kept going. And I don't think my parents ever realized how serious I was in 2nd grade. 2nd graders, they're like, they know the world. But I did, and that was it. And that's been my goal and my mission in life and will be until now, until forever.
Do you remember like any movies or anything that you watched that kind of stuck with you that in that time frame that, oh, I want to be just like that person?
Yes, boy, there were a couple. I always get asked who's your favorite actor or actress, and I like so many different people. But I will tell you, even though it's probably not, a good one anymore to mention, but Gone with the Wind. I mean, Vivian Lee as Scarlett O'Hara was nearly perfect, in my opinion. And I saw her, and I would watch that film and just be in awe of her because it was like falling off a log for her. She didn't even try. She was Scarlett O'Hara, in my opinion. The other actress that I don't model myself after anyone, but I do admire people and their work. But beyond their work, I also admire them for who they are as people, etc. Katharine Hepburn. Katharine Hepburn has been a huge, huge influence on me, just in the fact that she was strong and smart and also a very good actor. So those two people in particular were what I followed and who honestly too, Marilyn Monroe, and not the sex kitten Marilyn Monroe, the actress, which people don't give her enough credit for. She was very good as an actress. So things like that. I always love strong women.
That's amazing. Yeah, I agree with you on Marilyn Monroe. People, that was sort of like a character.
Yes.
Part of your early journey was Star Search. Were you a model before going on Star Search and being part of the spokes a model category?
Yeah. Okay. I have so many stories. You said tell stories, so I'm here. You go, babe. I've got so many stories. Yes, I was a model at the time of auditioning for Star Search. I had already graduated with my Bachelor of Arts degree in theater from Ashland College, which is now Ashland University in Ohio. I spent a year in New York going to the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. So I spent a year there for training. Came home to Cleveland, didn't know what I wanted to do, got a job in a bank, as a secretary. And then my dad said, well, you were a kid model. Why don't you go down to some agencies in Cleveland and, start modeling again? Which is what I did. And I got with Dorian Lay and had 2 amazing years in Cleveland, rocking the model scene, had some great friends from there. And then from there went to Chicago to start to create, further my modeling and hopefully my acting career. I wanted to get into acting. So I had an agent, and Shirley Hamilton's excellent, really fun. And they set up 2 different auditions for Star Search when it came into town. One was for the spokesmodel and one was for acting. I don't know whatever happened to that acting audition. Somehow it got misplaced, or no idea. I don't think they really wanted me to do the acting. So I did the spokesmodel audition, where you had to literally stand in front of the camera in a bathing suit with your portfolio and talk about your modeling pictures. Well, I was as Gabby back then as I am now. So I'm like, oh, and this picture was so much fun. And I went to New York for the, I mean, that was it. I had a lot of fun. Never, ever thinking I would be on the show because, I was 5'6". I wasn't statuesque beautiful. I did not have a modeling body. I didn't have a sex pot body. Even as Missy, I had to go back 6 times for that part, callback 6 times, because I literally didn't have a chest, to speak of. So there I am in my bathing suit, just gabbing about my portfolio. And apparently they just loved that. So that's how I got on the show. God, that was a fun show. Oh my gosh. Star Search was so much fun. I can't even tell you. I felt like we were a family, and we would just, I'm sorry, I'm talking a lot. If you want to break through with a question, go right ahead.
No, I love hearing the stories, so I don't want to.
Well, so yes, I was technically a model when I got on that show. And the way they did it was, once we got on, they flew us to New York to shoot 6 of those modeling videos in a row so that they would have a stockpile in case we won. And then I moved to Los Angeles during the first taping, and it was like, regular running of a live show. We'd meet very early in the morning. We'd go through dry run. We'd go through rehearsals. We'd have dinner break, and then we would live tape the show where they would show the videos in the background. It was great.
That's awesome. So that was Ed McMahon, and this is, of course, the precursor to all the things that are now American Idols and all that. But I did try out for a Star Search once. I think the Arsenio Hall one.
Oh, did you really?
Didn't go.
For what category?
Comedy. The stand up. I didn't go as well as yours did, but but I did have a friend that made it all the way to the finals and eventually won comedy thing. It was just 2-second story. He wins. He's the funniest guy ever, Horace H.P. Sanders. But they're doing the finals. The first guy goes, we go to war, the Bush War, one of the Gulf Wars. They cut right as he's about to go on. So months later, they had to redo it. And then I went. I went. I auditioned. And so when you're spokesmodeling, they give you something specific to spokesmodel?
Well, we had, along with showing our videos, we had a short interview with Ed McMahon, and fun fact, it took Ed McMahon about 3 weeks to get my first name right. I mean, how many times? He was a great guy, but how many times can you get AMY wrong? I was Annie, Emmy, and then finally, on the 4th show, he got my name right. But we would come out and we would give a little short, whatever, and he'd ask us a cute question, and then they'd show the video. And then we were in charge of 2 teasers, 2 what they call commercial teasers. So coming up next, after this commercial break, we have, and we would introduce the guest stars. And that was part of our competition, how well we spoke in front of the camera. And that's why I think I won so many times, is because you put a microphone in my hand and I'm all over that. All the acting training, all the speech training, I knew how to talk in front of the camera. And a lot of times these beautiful women I went up against couldn't do that. So I think that's why I did win as many times as I did.
You won almost on the 6th time. Do you remember who beat you or what happened to that person?
Yes, I did make it to my 6th regular show, and then Michaela beat me. She was cool. I liked her a lot. She was great. Very friendly, very cute, very pretty. Do I know what happened to her? No, I don't at this time. I really don't. I should look her up. I should see what happened to all of us. But the best thing was, even though I got beaten on that show, I was backstage and I was kind of lamenting and saying goodbye to some people. And this woman comes up to me, and she was one of the judges on that final show. And she came up to me and introduced herself. Hi, my name is Sue Cameron. And she hands me a card and says, I'd like to represent you. I got an agent right off of that show, even though I lost, Sue hired me on with leading artist. Oh my gosh. I mean, that was amazing. And that's what really jump started my acting career. It was an excellent agency. I had female agents who knew me, understood me, and we got along great. And that's what started all of the ball rolling, as they say. I was very lucky.
That's awesome. But you did win 5 times. So
And I made
yeah,
it to the semifinals.
in the semifinals. So even like, if we flash forward to like an American Idol, some of the most successful people on American Idol were not the winners.
Yeah.
It's the positive exposure. You rocked it 5 times, and they're like, we need a me Stoch. I said your name wrong on purpose,
Thank you.
just like
I
Ed
know.
McMahon.
I got you.
The
You're channeling Ed right now, right? You're channeling Ed.
So speaking of Ed, I found this trivia. I always hesitate to bring up random things from IMDb, but it said was the PhD, your PhD in theater history, was a promise that you made to Ed McMahon when competing in Star Search that you would, I guess, get your doctorate. Is that any?
Yes, yeah. One of the questions he did ask me was, I can't remember the exact question, but it was something to do about future plans and where do you want to go from there. And I said, well, at some point I would like to get my PhD in theater. Honestly, I don't know where that came from at that moment. It wasn't like I had always thought that this was what I was going to do. No, I was going to be an actor my whole life, which I am. But the PhD thing, I was like, even after I walked off stage, I'm like, wow, where did that come from? Well, segue what, 40 years later. And yeah, here I am with a PhD in theater history, theory, and criticism. And absolutely so dang proud of that. I worked my butt off for that. I have an MA in theater from Cal State Northridge and my PhD from University of Illinois, and very proud of it. I love it. I love learning. I love thinking. I love passing that on to my students because, as I keep telling them, I'm an actor and a scholar, and you can't separate one from the other. You just can't, because scholarship proves practice, practice proves scholarship, and you need them both to understand what we're really doing as artists. So Ed McMahon asking me that question was, wow, that was pretentious, I think is the word. But it did, yeah, it worked out.
I think it's amazing, Dr. Amy.
Thank you.
Do you prefer Dr. Stock or Dr. Amy?
No,
What do your students call you?
Uh, am I allowed to say what someone call me? No, I'm kidding. I get, it's so funny when you do have a doctorate or PhD, you sound so pretentious if you make people call you doctor. Well, I'm sorry. I went through 12 soul sucking years of grad school. I deserve that. But honestly, tell my students, you can just call me Amy. I'm okay with that. If you're okay with calling, someone who's old enough to be your grandmother by their first name, please, that's fine with me.
I would call you Doc. Like if we were
Okay.
just hanging out, I'd be like, "Come on, Doc, let's do
You
that."
can call me Doc.
I go between Doc and Dr. Amy, but right now we'll go with Amy just
Okay.
right now.
Great.
So all right, so Sue, I have a question for you first. So when you're doing Star Search, what are we, late teens at this point, early 20s?
Me?
Yeah.
Oh, God, no.
Oh, early?
Oh, bless you, aren't you cute? No, I was a little older. How old was I on Star Search? Probably like 24, 25.
Okay,
Yeah.
so all right, so early 20s. So, but you mentioned that your dad said you were a kid model. When you were telling your family that you were going to be an actress, were you already kid modeling, or was it like what did you do as a kid model?
Well, the second grade, I'm going to be a movie star thing happened before the modeling. My mom, I grew up in Cleveland, Ohio.
Detroit, just outside of Detroit. So we're practically neighbors.
Practically neighbors.
Midwest neighbors. So.
Yep. And I won't say go Guardians, but whatever. And we won't talk about the Browns, even though I still love my team so much. Anyway, my mom always worked. She always worked, wanted to have extra money to take, to do things with. And she was a full-time manager at a department store in Cleveland called the Higby Company, which was very, very popular. She worked in the downtown store, and she got my sister and I, both of us, involved in modeling for Higby's, for the newspaper, for the Higby magazine that would come out. So I did not a lot, but I did quite a few things with them. We were in the Twigby chorus, my sister and I. That was the employees would put on a talent show every year, and my mom would be in it, and she got us involved in the Twigby chorus. My mom and Dad took us to a lot of theater when we were young kids. And my best memories, I'm sorry, I'm going to cry. Sorry. One of my best memories is sitting on my dad's lap because I was so small. I couldn't see over everybody's heads to watch the stage. And he would pick me up and he'd put me on his lap and just hold me so I could see the shows. And we didn't go to a lot of them, but we went to enough. I saw Mary Martin in Peter Pan at the Hannah. I saw I don't even Noel Coward in, oh God, I can't remember the name of that play, Crazy Aunt something. We saw because my mom wanted to take us as a family, and that also helped feed the acting desire in me later on in my life. So my parents were probably because both have passed on now, but my parents were my strongest advocates. They would be behind me clapping and cheering all the way and never once said, don't do it, you're not going to succeed, ever. And so I am grateful for them every single day of my life for the support they've given me.
God bless them. That support is so important.
It
so
is.
important to have parents that believe in you.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that, Doc.
Oh, here's another fun fact. Okay.
Yeah.
So after like all of this goes on, right? And my dad, who was movie star gorgeous with Paul Newman blue eyes and curly blonde hair. I mean, he was gorgeous as a young man. After he retires from teaching, he taught golf. He was a big, phys ed teacher, coach, basketball, that stuff. He called me up one day, and I was already in LA at this time acting and stuff. And he said, well, what do you think if I go down and maybe start modeling? I said, Dad, go for it. You're a good looking 60-plus-year-old man. Go down there. They would love you. He signs with an agency. My dad starts modeling and getting into all these ads and stuff. He played a judge in a movie with Joanne Woodward that they shot in Pennsylvania. And I'm just proud, I'm busting buttons going, yeah, I taught him everything he knows. Yep, my dad. So that was kind of fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
All right. So what TV show, what role did you have where you're finally like, oh, I think this is going to work out. I made it,
None of them. I never thought I made it. If you want to know the truth, I didn't. I was just, like I said, I was a working actor, and I still am a working actor. And when I would get a part after auditioning and callbacks and all that lovely stuff, and I would do the part and I would do the role and it would be wonderful, but never did I ever let myself believe I'm really on the road to whatever right now. I couldn't. I was a working actor, and auditioning was great. That was your job at the time when I was going through. Your job was to audition. Getting the role was cake. I was icing on the cake. It was just great. So after I was finished working, I was always on to, okay, what's the next audition? What's the next job? What else can I do to further my whole career? It was for me, and again, these are all my personal opinions, but for me, I wanted a lifelong career as a working actor, and that just meant keep going, keep doing what you can do. I mean, even when I was here because I live in Illinois now, but even when I was at the University of Illinois, we shot 3 independent films here while I was doing grad school work, really good ones. So I was like, yeah, I can keep going with this. That's pretty cool. So I did, and it was just, I don't know what's next, and I don't know what's coming up. I'm in my late 60s now, and I don't care who knows it, folks. I am proud to be an older woman, and I'm proud the way I look, and every wrinkle and pound on me has a story behind it. So I am proud to be who I am now, but I can't wait to see what's next. Where am I going next? What can I try next? And I never want to lose that energy.
I love that. I love that. But early on, I mean, before you had Days of Our Lives wasn't the very first thing, but that was huge. That was a long run. Like, well, I guess it's a lot of episodes. It's funny, like you look at episodes in years with soap operas, the duration's a little different.
Thankfully.
but you had, thankfully, that's a lot, right? I mean, I've heard people talk about soap operas like so much script learning. My goodness, it's
30 pages a night. If you had a popular storyline, it was 30 pages a night. And then you would go in the next day and you'd go through dry block and camera block and have lunch and go through dress rehearsal. And then between dress rehearsal and taping, they come, oh yeah, we're cutting this, cutting that, and we're pasting it over here. And we're combining 3 pages into one. I mean, it was nuts. So yeah, very difficult. Good training though. very good training.
That's awesome. I didn't watch the stories as I do my stories. You were Britta England, a Swedish woman with a complicated and secretive past.
Kind of complicated.
I
Nobody
love
knew who I was until they
in the,
actually started writing it.
in the center of a dangerous love triangle. It sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
Yes, I was a undercover Russian spy who apparently had affairs with both of the main leads, and I didn't know any of that until day one when I was in bed with both of them. Yeah, that was
So
the first day on the set.
so how 60 is it 66 episodes? Is that 66 days? Kind of ish, right? I mean, like
That's I'm boy, I didn't even know how many episodes I did.
I'm
Okay,
just IMDb, so let's assume that's
okay,
right.
I'll trust you. No, I didn't. No, I didn't work every day. I think my guarantee was a show and a half a week or something like that. Then once the storyline got really rocking and it got real intense, then it was 3-4 days a week at least. And I was on pretty much. God, when was I cast in that? Like I was on in January, and I think my last show was in August, sometime late August.
It's a lot of scripts, a lot of learning. What prep do you get from the storytellers, from the writers, where they're like, or do you just one day come in and go, "Oh, I'm going to get shot and killed"? Spoiler
Yes,
for anyone
yeah,
who
pretty much.
is
Yeah.
behind their 1986
Oh,
days.
that's okay. Yeah. That's fine. No, it was okay. Well, here I go again as the artist scholar thing. Okay. When I came on that show, all we knew was the audition scene, which is obviously had some background with the guy Steven who played Patch. And somehow you had some kind of background history with him. The audition scene is never really part of the storyline. It's just what they're thinking, right? So we auditioned and we did all that. And like I said, my first day on the set, I was in bed with Peter Reckel and with Steven, like one right after the other. I don't even know who they were. And they're hopping into bed. Obviously, we had a past. Don't know what that is. And then they started to say, well, you're a Russian spy and you guys are in a spy ring and you did undercover stuff and all. And that was it, that I had some sort of connection to all these people with some sort of spy thing, right? And that was all the background you were given. So what I did, and here comes the scholar teacher in me, what I did is I went home that night after a particularly weird day of not knowing who I was and knowing a really big important scene was coming up the next day. I researched. I read up on Russian spy. I read up on spy rings. I got stuff out of the library because we didn't have Google back then. On my way home, I did. I got stuff from the library all about spying and spy rings and what I did is I went home that night and I read a little bit. I couldn't read a lot, but I created my backstory as the character. I created that so I could have something to play off of as an actor. Because no fault of any of the writers, they are writing as fast as they can and trying to make it as intriguing as they can, but they can't give you all of that. Myself as an actor knew it was my job to create that backstory, so I did. And I created why I had a relationship with Peter, what happened with that, and why I had a relationship with Steven, and who I was, and why I'm here now. That whole thing. I created that whole thing in one night. Next day, we shot that really important scene. It was the best scene we had shot to that point. It was so good that the producers, who are usually up in their booth up there, they came down the stairs and they told me, if producers come down the stairs, it means you did a really good job. They came down the stairs and they congratulated all of us in the scene for doing really well. So that was cool. And it's because I knew I created for myself who I was.
That's amazing. I love
Yeah, it was
that.
fun. It was fun.
So how did you feel about being shot and killed?
Oh, yeah, well, okay. I mean, it was they tried to get me off the show before. I was like, I hit the streets as someone who had no place to go, and I think I got shot before. I don't know. I know I got shot and I had the bullet stayed in my heart. That's what it was. I got shot first and the bullet stayed right. Okay. So I even had made little keychains for my fan club at the time that had a little bullet on it. It said, "Sorry, Britta, this one's for you." Sorry. It was kind of tacky, but it was fun. Yeah, when I was finally taken, there was someone hired to come and purposely, give me a couple nasty phone calls and then finally do away with me. I don't know. Was I sad? No, not really. I was sad that I was losing a job. I was sad because I liked some of the people I worked with, but the character wasn't going anywhere, and I knew that. And I knew as soon as you bring on the good girl to be with the bad guy, the bad girl and the bad guy are never going to work out, not in a soap. So as soon as they brought on Kayla for Steven, I knew I was out of there. What's fun though, here we go, segue. One of my last days, I think it was my last day on the set at Days of Our Lives, I got the call from my agent that I got the part on Bill and Ted's. So that's how that worked out.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, the universe has its ways. Wait, before we get to Bill and Ted, do you have any stories about taking on the Ewing family in Dallas? So Dallas was huge popular, huge pop. I don't know what that
Huge
even means.
pop.
Yeah, very popular. Was this another spoiler for those of you behind on Dallas? Is when you were working with Patrick Duffy, Bobby's character, was this before the dream thing or after the dream? Remember they killed him off and then he came back, it was just a dream type thing.
Oh gosh, that's right. No, that was before, I'm pretty sure.
Okay. All right.
I came on year 10 after being a fan of the show when it first came on, in 1977. We were all fans of that show and the Who Shot JR thing. And that was all when I was in college. So yeah, we were huge fans of the show. But I came on in 87, year 10, with a oh God, I have stories for everything. Is that okay?
I love your stories.
All right. It was a very quick audition. It was one of those auditions that you kind of hope for as an actor because it was a pretty fast call. So they only called in 10 actresses to audition for the part of Lisa Alden. They said, casting director, who are 10 of your top people? And I was one of them, which was so cool. A very dear friend of mine now, who I only knew just kind of, was also called in because we're both blonde hair, blue eye. We saw each other. That's how we became friends. We saw each other at auditions all the time. So we were both called in, and we're sitting in the waiting room in the office, waiting to go in and audition. It was going to be a one-time thing, cast then, no callbacks. And so we're talking, and she's like, "Yeah, this was really fast." She said, "I don't know what to do. I'm flying to Hawaii tomorrow to get married." And I went, "Well, I'm flying to Greece tomorrow to get on a cruise ship with my new boyfriend." So we were both going to be out of the country. So we auditioned, and I thought, well, whatever. And it was only with the casting director. We didn't meet any of the crew or any of the cast. It was just that one shot deal, and you were cast. So I'm in the middle of the AGNC like the following week, and again, this is way before cell phones, folks. So you got to think prehistoric. And all of a sudden I get a telegraph from the captain's berth, right? I get a telegraph in the middle of the AGNC that only says, "Call your agent." And I went, oh my God, I think I just got the part on Dallas. So we landed we couldn't get a ship to shore. So we landed in Rhodes, and my friend and I are traveling around trying to find a phone or anybody who spoke English. Finally find a phone, can't get through to my agent because Greece is like, 12 hours ahead of us or whatever in LA. So I call my mom because I figured I could get a hold of her, right? And I'm in Greece, and she answers the phone. I go, "Mom, it's me, it's Amy. I'm calling you from Greece." And the first words out of her mouth were, "Did you know you just got Dallas?" Because I hadn't told anybody. And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, I guess I did, obviously." So I had her call my agent, tell him what was happening. We had to get off the ship in Istanbul. Okay, the cruise went on without us. We had to get off the ship in Istanbul, talk about security and strip searching and guns and stuff. That was all there. And then we flew from Istanbul to Italy to New York to Los Angeles, where I unpacked, repacked, and then flew the next day to Dallas to shoot for 6 weeks.
Wow.
That's how I got Dallas. And when I met Patrick Duffy, who is just so wonderful to work with, great guy, loved him, except for one thing. The first time I met him, I was in the hotel room with costumes, trying to get costumes, and he came in, and that's the first time we meet. And he says, "Wow, she looks just like my kid sister." I was supposed to be his love interest. Yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, well, I'm out of here. Not saying. Yeah, so Dallas was incredible experience. Again, great cast and crew. I got to work with JR. I got to be kind of his, foil or whatever. I got to work with him, Patrick, all of them. They were just amazing to work with. So it was a good experience.
All right. Also amazing or more excellent, Bill and Ted.
Excellent.
I know. Look at me. I should be on radio. I'm so good with those segues. All right. So you talked a little bit about landing the role. Interesting. Like as I was the creators, Ed Solomon and Chris Matheson. I didn't realize until I was kind of digging some stuff up, but his dad is Richard Matheson, who's like one of the most legendary sci-fi writers of all time. Yeah. So a lot of the great Twilight Zones, I Am Legend. Yeah. Wow.
They're
So
amazing. Yep.
that explains why Bill and Ted's is so awesome. Good genes there.
That and Ed and Chris's improv skills in college. So.
All right. So you are one of only 4 actors that have been in all 3 of the Bill and Ted movies. Obviously, Keanu Reeves and Alex Winter, yourself, and then Hal Landon Jr., who was Keanu's dad. You're you're in the second movie. You're married to him. How did you feel when they said when they did 30 years later they bring it back, which was amazing? I remember one of those great things where like everyone wanted this so bad for so long.
Amazing. The lasting power of Bill and Ted is just, it's so heartwarming, and I get so many wonderful people who like, love the film and have loved it for years and years. And when something like that can last that long, then it's got a message to say, and that it speaks to people, and Bill and Ted's does.
Yeah, there's just something special. There, like, or it was just so perfect for whatever it was.
Yeah, it was. Still is. Bill and Ted forever, man.
Yeah, I can still watch it. Only thing that was funny about jarring about watching Face the Music was it was hard to watch You're so used to Keanu these days with the John Wick look. Seeing him shaved.
I know. I think a lot of people thought that. I didn't mind. I think he's cute no matter what. But yeah, I don't know how long it had been since he had a bare face. 30 years or something like that. Yeah, a lot of people very interested to see that. So that was fun.
All right. Well, so Bill and Ted, the original Bill and Ted. So you get it. So what was it when it finally gets released and it becomes a sleeper hit? Like, what was it? I mean, because I know you said you never felt like you made it, but at this point, you've done a good run on Days of Our Lives. I'm trying Dallas, yeah. And then this movie gets made, slightly delayed, but then comes out and is like, boom. You're definitely a standout character in the first movie for sure. So like when that first one came out, what was it like just kind of walking down the street or heading back to Cleveland, Ohio?
You mentioned that, we shot it in 1986, but it didn't come out till 89 or 88 or something like that, because the company went bankrupt that produced it, and it just sat in a vault for 2 years. So when Orion picked it up and cut it together, and all of a sudden it's this summer hit, I don't think any of us realized it was still there, or that the possibilities. So the fact that it was fun and lots of cute stuff and did well, I mean, that's great. But that's all that was. It was just fun, and this is a movie I did 2 years ago. It's finally coming out. Yay. It was cute to see. Loved to watch it. It was fun. Loved to watch the phone booth scene. That was one of my favorites. And that was the audition scene, by the way. That was what we auditioned with. Yeah, and then after that, it was just straight back to work. What's the next audition? What can I do next? And so, because I don't think any of us, I didn't. I can't speak for anyone else, but I don't think I thought, yeah, it's a cute movie, and that's all that it's going to be. And then 2 years later, we do Bogus Journey, and then we kind of figured it was a big deal, because both Alex and Keanu were starting their rise to whatever, and I was just a working actor again. And I actually asked Scott Kroof this when I saw him on Bogus Journey set for the first time. I said, Scott, it's so great. Thank you for asking me back. I didn't think you would. And he's like, are you kidding? You're one of the first ones we wanted back. And I went, oh, great. That's so cool. That was really neat. So it was fun. I didn't. I had no clue. I mean, maybe that's the Missy in me, but I honestly had no clue that she was popular.
But even from a fan point of view, the notoriety when this becomes a hit, it wasn't until Bogus Journey where people would be like, Missy.
No, people still didn't. You know what they recognized me from? Britta from Days of Our Lives. I would get people, coming up to me in the grocery store, just Britta. I'm like, yeah, that was me. That was me 2 years ago. But honestly, that's what I would get a lot of. And after Bogus Journey, I don't think any of that happened. And now, of course, nobody would recognize me from Adam, because I'm old. And they just, when I say I'm Missy, it takes them a moment to realize that that movie was 30 some odd years ago. So
I had a question for you. You said that you filmed it and it didn't come out till 3 years later. And at some point you guys probably had all
moved on
and figured this is probably never going to happen ever. When it came out, I asked this because like a lot of times people, you film things, you film this piece, you don't watch the whole thing, this and that. But it's now 3 years or so later when it comes out, or you're like, what was that one? Because you've now done 3 years worth of other work, right? You kept going, right?
I did. I did. No, I no.
You know what I'm saying? Like when it comes out,
Yeah.
you're like, oh yeah, I know Bill. I know that
Yeah.
full movie. Or did you have to go watch it to like go, oh yeah, this was pretty cool. We did this.
Well, yes, as I watched it, I went, I remember all of it because it was such a special thing. It was so fun. And as actors, I'm sorry, we all do it. Okay. We all go, how much of my part did they keep in and how much is on the editing room floor? All right. That's the first thing you look at when you're looking at what you just shot. How much did they edit out? I watched it and something, because it was a couple years later that it finally came out and we did go see it. Maybe that's why it was so fresh and funny to me, because I just remember laughing and giggling and enjoying myself so much. And then remembering what it was like to shoot all of that, and with all those people. And yeah, I just remember walking out of it going, wow, that was really fun. What a fun little movie. Then it was on to the next thing. Yeah.
All right. So you do Bogus Journey. And then
One of my favorite scenes in that, by the way, is the seance.
that
That was one of that probably after the phone booth scene. I think that scene for me is the most fun because I had Ed and Chris in my circle, right? And the four women that were in the movie, they were all friends with Ed and Chris, and they were all in a writing group together. So they were all friends, and and they're in my seance circle, and I'm having such fun. That was such a fun scene to shoot. It was great.
Oh, I love that. I love that. That was definitely interesting movie, like with death and all that kind of stuff. And
Oh yeah, Bill Sadler.
it
Oh my
was
gosh, was he funny or what? I mean, who would have thought, who would have thought this bad guy could be so dang funny and not even trying? I mean, it just comes naturally to him. He's just like funny. He was hysterical, especially that game scene. Oh,
it was that accent.
oh yeah, that too. He was really very funny. I finally got to meet Bill. Finally got to meet him after all these years because we never shot anything together during Bogus Journey and we were on different schedules. And then for Face the Music, I think he was up on stage in the concert scene and we finally waved at each other, right? But that was it. And then Cam, Cam did a convention in Lexington. So I drove down to Lexington because if he's anywhere near me, I like to go to the cons and see my buddy. Just so happens that Alex and Bill were at the same Comic-Con convention. And I went, okay, now I gotta go. So I drove down to Lexington and I saw Cam and I of course hugged Alex. And then I went, Bill, it's about time, dude. And then we get a big hug. So it was really cool.
That's awesome. All right. So decades later, right? There's buzz probably every 5 years. We're gonna do another Bill and Ted's, like, right? The fans want it. So finally it happens. And I think it's funny that they carried on the kind of the Missy joke, right? Where do you think it's funny? Better question. Go ahead. What do you think about it?
Okay, that's a loaded question. Man, okay, little backstory. So in 2018 or 2017 or something, when Boom Studios came out with the Bill and Ted comic series, WonderCon down here in Anaheim, they did a WonderCon, and they were going to be there with Brian Lynch, creator and signing, and Scott Proof, the producer, was going to be there. And somehow I met somebody who knew somebody, and they asked me to be down there too. So, and this was before any, I think it was like 2016 or something, 2017. And so I go down to Anaheim and I see Scott, and it's so wonderful to see him again. And then at some point in the time when we're there together, he leans over and he goes, by the way, there's gonna be a third movie and you're in it. And I went, I couldn't tell anybody. I was so excited. I nearly went through the roof. I went, oh my God, how could you? you really still want Missy, even though she's now 63, 4 years old, you still want me. And I was so happy and just so pleased that they liked me that much to ask me back, especially at my age. I'm not a bombshell anymore, folks. I am not that cute, sweet young thing. I'm an old woman. So that kind of immediately went, oh God, what are they going to do with me? And then they told me I was going to be married to Deacon, played wonderfully by Beck Bennett, by the way. Oh my God, that poor guy. I apologize to him forever for him having to have to kiss me in the wedding scene. But how did I feel? Personally, I would have rather have been married to death and been the queen of the underworld. I think that would be so fitting, for Missy. She'd get that all in order down there. Speaking as Amy, I was a little disappointed that I was married to someone much younger and that I had to not grow old. And I didn't, they let Alex and Keanu, they let those two characters grow old. And oh my God, Scott and everybody, if you're listening, please understand that I love you dearly. Ed and Chris, love you dearly. But I felt a little put off that Missy wasn't allowed to age because I'm a hell of a great older woman and I still have a lot of fun and I still love to smile and giggle and all that great stuff because Missy is me in many ways. She is me. And I still care about being a loving, kind person. And I was a little disappointed that I wasn't allowed to age. I had my hair short and they put big blonde wig on me. Wow, was that an expensive wig? I was afraid to touch it. But it was, this long blonde hair, and my face just didn't match that, folks. It was old, wrinkled. I was a little, for me, it was a little disappointing. But on the
Amy, you're
other
being
side
too
of
hard on yourself. You're beautiful.
I,
So
well, okay, thank you for that. I appreciate that. And like I said, I am proud of who I am now. And just a little part of me wanted Missy to be proud of who she was as a 65-year-old. And and that's fine. I knew why they did it, and that's great. I'm not sure it came across because I just looked too old, I think. But I'm still very, very so happy I got to be a part of it. Shooting in New Orleans, even though it was a billion degrees and 1,000% humidity. Oh my gosh, were we sweating through everything. But just being down in the city and being with my crew and my cast again and seeing Ed and Chris and being able to hug them was just so amazing. So it was great.
I feel you on your point of view. It's like a catch, right? One is like, oh, it's a running joke. You're married to Bill's dad, and then you're married to Ted's dad. The third movie, Ted's brother, so they could do the dad. Now if she's your whatever,
That was pretty funny though.
yeah,
At the wedding scene,
yeah.
he calls me something. I'm like, no, Dad used to call me that. Shh. That was the funniest line. I love that. That was great. So
So I think it was the toast was really that being able to pull off that joke, I think was the reason they probably did it. Though I gotta say, when it came out of your mouth just now, it would have been so much better had you married death. Like that would have that because that would have been like, the movie is surreal, right? It's not like a straight movie. I mean, they did die and go to hell. They're
sent
supposed
by
to,
me. I
yeah,
sent them to hell. Yeah.
exactly. They are supposed to change the future, and they're always going to the future, and they've gone to the past. So it would have been kind of I think it would have fit in. It wouldn't have been like, oh, why is it? Yeah, plus it would have been great. I
Yeah,
think,
because
yeah.
I would have met Death and I would have seen where he was, and I was like, oh no, Death, honey, I can fix this up for you. Just you go be Death, and I'll just take care of the underworld for you, and I'll make it so wonderful. Yeah.
I feel like if there's a fourth movie, that has to be the way it is. Poor
I
Beck
make
Bennett will be sad, but that he lost you. But hey,
I think,
that's how it
but
goes.
also to wrap it up, the what I was saying about Bill and Ted being able to age, yeah, they did that beautifully. I think everybody, the writing and the acting and the last scene just still makes me cry when they're in the home together and they start rocking out. It's so wonderful to end the story like that. I loved it.
It's such great characters, and like it's nice that everyone involved with it cared enough about the characters to keep them
Yes.
the characters,
Mhm.
and
Well,
so
that all stems from the actors who did the characters too. They're two great guys. Alex and Keanu are very wonderful people and very smart and so talented. And they're going to be in Waiting for Godot on Broadway. Can't wait to see it. I said, Alex, because I wrote my dissertation on chapter 3 is all about Herbert Blau's production of Waiting for Godot. So I have 80 pages on like all this stuff on Waiting for Godot. And as soon as I saw that picture of Alex, he posted it like a couple of years ago of him and Alan Mandel. He posted that picture on social media and I went, oh my God, they're going to do Godot. And I knew it at that point. So when it finally was announced, I emailed Alex and I went, I knew, because I interviewed Alan Mandel when I first got back to LA. I interviewed him several years ago. So them doing Waiting for Godot, perfect.
That will be
They are
amazing.
going to rock. They are so going to rock. And I can't wait to see it.
You're awesome. I guess Gunsmoke would be the another big thing that you did. That was so awesome.
My heart. Gunsmoke is my heart. I love everything I've ever done. And people have asked me this too. What is your favorite thing you've ever done? And I keep saying, I can't choose a favorite just because they're all so different. And I was so lucky to be cast in everything I've done. Even that George Ezra video I did a couple of years ago where I dyed my hair orange. Great. But as soon as someone even mentions the word Gunsmoke, I just go, yeah. I mean, come on. I got to play Beth Dillon, Marshall Dillon's daughter. I got to play Michael Learned's daughter. I got to get hauled up on the back ass end of a horse by Richard Kiley. I'm like, oh my, I was just, and this is where I tried not to fangirl anybody. This was the hardest one not to do that because look at the people I worked with.
Classics.
So, but yeah, all 4 of them, extremely special. The first one especially, because it was down in Del Rio, Texas, Lajitas, big sky country, unbelievably gorgeous. And the coolest part about all of that is my parents would come to the set location. They'd come travel down and they'd visit, especially my mom. She was in the hot tub with Socrates and Napoleon and Mr. the Kid. I still have pictures of that. But my dad and my mom came to that very first one for Gunsmoke. They came to the set for a little bit. I got to introduce my dad to Jim Arness. And I'm going to tell you right now, my dad walking up to Jim and shaking his hand, it was like a 12-year-old boy looking at his matinee idol. And I just went, I think my dad's going to remember this for the rest of his life. It was so cool. And Jim was so great. He was such a nice man. Everybody just really loved Jim Arness. And for good reason. He was great.
I love that. As I was digging in, I saw that as you mentioned, you were his daughter on the show, but they went back to an old episode called Matt's Love Story from 1973 to create this scenario with Michael
Matt
Learns.
Dillon had one screen kiss in 40 years of Gunsmoke, and that was it. And it produced me.
Yeah, that's hey, you kids out there listening, no smooching, you get pregnant.
It was great. Yeah, they had to come up with a different storyline, so they did that, and here I am, and I got to ride horses and herd cattle, and I got to ride in a real stagecoach from the late 1800s. It was mind-blowing. It was just really cool, all of it.
It sounds amazing. You're amazing. I appreciate you hanging out with me.
Thanks. We're getting a thunderstorm right now. I don't know if you can hear it booming in the background, but all of a sudden we're getting these dark clouds, and I love thunderstorms. So it's cool.
It's probably from here yesterday. We had it all here yesterday. It was like,
okay.
Boom. Yeah.
Love it. I love it. I'm out there with my camera taking pictures because, 28 years in Los Angeles and you're so dry, you don't even remember what a storm sounds like. So I moved to Illinois and we've got tornadoes in January and thunderstorms. I'm like, yay.
Seasons. Dr. Amy, you're amazing. I appreciate you sharing all these stories. They were incredible. You're incredible. And this was a pleasure.
I love it. I love every moment. And I am grateful for every single moment. And I love talking to people like you because you make it easy. So thank you, Jeff.